Man, Multiversus was one of the most hyped up games of 2022, especially going into the summer. I feel like everybody was talking about this game. Everybody was playing this game. It had all kinds of characters: Batman, Superman, Shaggy, all these lovable characters from different franchises, and a lot of people were really excited for this game. I would say that this game by far exceeded expectations when it first launched. Having over 20 million players on release, this was absolutely insane, and I feel like the game might have grown a little bit too fast, and we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the rise of the game, the fall of the game, and what they need to do to try to get some players back into this game and make it exciting again. To start off this video, I have to give a massive shout out to Tony, the game director. This man right here is so dedicated to this game. I feel like he is constantly on Twitter, he's on different Discord servers, talking to casual players, talking to competitive players, asking what can we do to fix this game. He's actually implementing those changes, even if it is taking a little while. Of course it's going to take a little while. There's a lot of big changes to make in this game, so it's not all going to happen overnight. But the point is, he's very dedicated, he's very open with the community, and that's something that I really enjoy about this guy. Okay, and with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Multiversus. So to start off, I have to say that I feel like this game is in a very polarizing place right now. I feel like there's two types of people. There's one group of people that say this game is very much alive, and they have faith in this game is going to come back, it's going to be massive. And then the other side is the people that just say that this game is dead, have no hope, this game fell off, doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. And I feel like, for me personally, I'm kind of almost in the middle. Like, even though it is very polarizing, I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. I have hope for this game, I want to see it succeed, but it is kind of falling off in a way that I'm not sure it's ever going to recover to even be close to where it was originally. I mean, this game had over 20 million players in the first month of release. That's absolutely insane. Of course, you can't expect to maintain that many players, but to see the game now have a little over 1,000 active players on Steam a day, it's kind of depressing to see that it fell off that fast in like the span of 7 or 8 months, especially for a game that, like I said, it was so massive at first. And there's a list of reasons why this game has fallen off, starting off with the server issues, starting off with the constant delays to character releases, the fact that rank didn't come out for a long time, that there was no spectator mode, all the controller issues, all those types of things are kind of factors that play into this. I honestly think one of the first big mistakes of this game was kind of the order that the DLC kind of came to this game. I mean, when the game was announced and we were kind of in that alpha stage going into the beta stage, the first couple characters being announced were obviously Iron Giant and LeBron James, two characters that are pretty hyped up. Obviously LeBron is a very hyped up character, it just makes sense obviously, but I feel like since those characters got announced, all the characters that we've gotten afterwards are characters that are a little bit more niche in a way. Gizmo and Stripe are very cool characters obviously, but for example, the younger generation, it's not really going to appeal to them so much. Same thing with Marvin the Martian, not going to appeal to them so much. Black Adam, that's a cool character, but obviously relatively new. I mean, it's not a character that people are insanely hyped up for, I feel like. I feel like ever since LeBron came out, the only characters that people really got excited for were Rick and Morty, and I feel like they kind of made the mistake with those characters of announcing them so early and then having the constant delays, and then by the time they actually came out, people didn't really care anymore because it wasn't new at the time. We got these character announcements so far in advance that by the time they actually released, people just didn't care anymore. And that's kind of the biggest problem with this game, I feel like, is the fact that it just took so long for certain things to happen. Obviously, and it's in a beta stage, obviously it's, not the massive like developer team working on this game, and there's obviously lots of things to fix with this game, but I feel like a lot of those basic fundamental things that should have been with the game at launch were kind of just missing at the time, and I think it really kind of hurt the game long term. We're kind of in an era now with games where if your game isn't in the right state, if it's not a perfect game, if it's not a game that like has a lot of replayability, I feel like it just falls off right away because people just move on to other games, whether it's they go back to Fortnite or they go back to 2K or they pick up whatever game is new at the time. I feel like when a game becomes this massive, 20 million players in the first month of release, for example, I feel like you're bringing in all different types of people that play all different types of games, so you're bringing in people that don't just play fighting games, you're bringing people that play shooters and stuff like that, and they're coming into this fighting game and they start to play it, and it has its issues, there's no replayability, the skill gap is too high, things like that. I feel like right away you kind of just lose their interest in this entire genre and they just go back to what they were playing before. You have to remember with fighting games, it kind of takes a while to get good at them and to kind of really get a good grasp of the game itself. And especially with fighting games, I feel like when you're losing, you're not really having a good time, especially if you're losing a lot. And in a game like this where I feel like especially singles in this game, it's just not really great in my opinion. You know, this game is obviously built for doubles. It was very heavily advertised for doubles. Singles just, I don't know, it's kind of like a lot of people have said it, you know, in this game specifically, it gets very sweaty for singles. You can, you know, really just camp people out sometimes. Certain characters kind of get shut down in singles, I feel like. So I feel like a lot of people that came into this game and, you know, just played it for the singles, for example, might have not had the best time at first, especially if they're not really coming from like a fighting game background. And then when it comes to doubles, you know, especially on release, there were certain characters like, for example, double Taz that you would run into that people just did not have fun against. Obviously, there's counterplay. Obviously, there's ways to counter those things. But when you're talking about a general audience, a general group of 20 million people, you know, most of these people are going to find issues with that and just not have fun with the game. People like myself are going to read the patch notes and see all these different changes and be like, wow, you know, that's really cool. But the vast majority of people aren't going to look at that. They're not going to know what that means. They're not going to care what that means. They're just going to pick up the game when they have free time and play the game, and if it's no fun anymore, they're just going to stop playing it. And when you factor that in with laggy servers and the lack of any kind of ranked mode, any kind of reason to grind the game, I feel like that's really what kind of killed it off after that first month or two. And especially, you know, you have to remember the timing as well. It was the summer, obviously. I feel like this summer, you know, games are going to be a little bit bigger, people have more time, things like that. And obviously in the fall, going back to school, that kind of stuff, it's going to fall off a little bit, of course. But I just feel like the timing of everything and just kind of the lack of improvement with those fundamental areas, I think that's what really killed it at first. And another reason why this game kind of fell off in a way, in my opinion, and this is at no fault of Multiversus itself, is just the natural comparison to games like Smash. I've seen so many people try to compare this to Smash. I've seen so many videos, so many TikToks of people comparing this to Smash. Oh, Smash is better, you know, blah, blah, blah. I feel like just because it's a platform fighter doesn't mean like it's directly a copy of Smash, and I feel like a lot of people don't care to understand that. You know, I wouldn't compare, you know, Mario Kart to like Gran Turismo. It's yeah, they're both racing games, but they're very different in my opinion. And obviously it's a platform fighter, and obviously, you know, it has its similarities to Smash. But I feel like from the start, this game was not meant to be anything like Smash. They took it in a whole different direction. They focused it in doubles. They changed, you know, how everything works as far as like ring outs. You know, the fact that all these characters are kind of floating in the air and able to, you know, kind of fly around the map. It's a very different game in my opinion from Smash, and I feel like they had no intention of making it like Smash. It just happens to be in the same genre, and there's not a lot of games in that genre that are successful, especially not to this degree. So it had that natural comparison, and within a few months, people were already saying this game was dead. I could talk about the issues with this game for like a long time, but that's gonna take too long. So what I'm gonna talk about now is what they need to do to kind of bring this fan base back, add some people to this game, and hopefully create a successful future of this game for a long time to come. The first thing I want to do is talk about a game that really was hyped up when it first came out, died right away pretty much, and then after some time it really came back and became very successful, and that game is Fall Guys. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Fall Guys kind of came out during the COVID era. It was kind of announced, you know, and then people were pretty hyped for it. It came out, people were very excited for it, kind of blew up for a while, and then within like a couple months, it just completely died off. And out of nowhere, this game just got completely revived. It gained like, you know, all these different players, you know, all that kind of stuff. This game really blew up after being dead for a long time. And the reason why this game fell off so fast was because it wasn't free to play. I think it was $20. I think, yeah, I actually paid $20 for this game. And it just didn't have good replayability to it. You know, it's the same maps. It was very repetitive. So after a while, it kind of got boring. So what they did after a while is they made it free to play. They made it come out on the Switch. They had like basically a relaunch of this game in a way. They added way more maps. They did all these collabs with, you know, different characters, adding different skins, all that kind of stuff, and really launched this game and gave it to like a whole new player base that continues to play the game now. And just like Multiversus, you know, obviously it had like millions of players at first, and now there's not as many players, but there are way more players right now than there was a couple months into this game's original launch. Now, what does this have to do with Multiversus? Well, here's the thing. Multiversus is already free to play, so we can't really change that about the game, obviously. But what I feel like the game needs to do at this point is, you know, it's still in that beta phase, technically. That beta tag is still on the game. I think whenever this game officially ends out of beta, we need a massive patch. I'm talking about a patch that's going to add multiple characters, add multiple maps, and maybe add some new modes to really bring people into this game. Make it exciting, give people a reason to play this game. I'm talking about adding characters that people genuinely care about and are excited for, Think about your most favorite character from whatever series. Imagine if they got added to Multiversus. I'm sure you would play that character in a heartbeat. And now that we have your attention with that character, you'll notice that, wow, this game is actually fixed. The servers are nice. There's some cool new game modes, some cool new maps, all kinds of stuff. And that's how you will retain those players. We need something that's going to bring people in, and we need the game to be fixed to keep those players. And this is very doable. I feel like in the last few months, we haven't gotten really any content at all. Yeah, you know, a map here and there, you know, patch changes, stuff like that. I would rather them at this point just go ahead and save 2 or 3 characters and release them all at once. I feel like that's going to be more beneficial, because then you can really advertise this as a massive launch for the game here. Out of the beta phase, it's a massive patch, and it's basically a relaunch of the game. Kind of ties in with all of this, but I feel like the marketing game needs to kind of be stepped up a little bit here. And one way that they can really do that is by hosting some big events here. And you know, when you look back at the lifespan of the game, obviously when the game very first came out, like as soon as the open beta was released, they had a massive tournament at EVO with a $100,000 prize pool, right? That's going to bring in people's attention, obviously. So I think what they should really do is host some big events, some online tournaments, you know, whatever they have to do. Bring in some, you know, some big streamers, some big names out there, people that, you know, are pretty well followed by people, and have them, you know, have this massive event, you know, the spotlight on the game, and have them playing this game, and to kind of bring excitement to the game, you know what I'm saying? So I think to have those big events like that, you know, with influencers, streamers, things like that, I think that's one way to really bring people's attention. In conclusion here, I think Multiversus is in a decent place right now. Obviously, players are leaving. Obviously, it's, like I said, not as big of a player pool as it used to be, and that's okay in my opinion. The thing about this game is you have to ask yourself this question: is the game fundamentally good? And I feel like the answer is yes. You know, you have so many unique characters. You have all these different things about the game that make it a fun game overall if you really enjoy these types of games. And I feel like that's what really determines if the game is going to die or not. Is the game itself fun? I would say yes, the core gameplay is actually fun. I can confidently say that this game will never have the amount of players that it once did. Probably not even half the amount of players that it did when it first launched, and that is 100% okay. What this game needs is just people to play the game, to enjoy the game, and for the game to run smoothly. And I think that's very possible, especially, you know, coming up with this year. I'm hoping that this game really gets some big updates, it gets some massive characters added, and I really hope to see that more people will start to play this game again. The big question is, do I think this game is dead? I would say it's not dead. I do think it is kind of dying right now, but it's definitely savable, and it's definitely savable pretty soon here. You know, like I said earlier, we do have a game director that is very open with the community. You know, they have promised us these different things. It's just taking time, which is understandable. And I think once we get those things that have been promised to us, those things that we are expecting, once those things have been done, I think people will definitely come back to the game. But we're in a state right now where people are kind of just waiting. You know, some people are waiting patiently and they're continuing to play the game. Other people aren't waiting patiently and they stop playing the game. But that doesn't mean that they're never going to play the game again. They're definitely going to come back if they have a reason to come back. I hope this all makes sense, and if it doesn't, that's completely okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm definitely curious to see what everybody thinks. I personally, like I said, you know, I have high hopes for this game. I've had high hopes for this game, and I really want to see it succeed, but I completely understand why it hasn't succeeded to where we've kind of expected it to succeed. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and also subscribe to the channel. You know, I haven't streamed this game in a while over on Twitch, but maybe I'll do that soon, especially if you guys want to see that. So definitely go ahead and follow me over there as well. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope all my thoughts kind of make sense. Like I said, if they don't make sense, definitely let me know in the comments. Other than that, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.